3rd, 2025. HOA Today is brought to you by Zayuk. Zayuk is a smart property system. We provide users infrastructure, software, software infrastructure, inspection services that the reserves inspection services and reality capture inspections to give residents and owners the tools to better understand their property, the context of their property, and give themselves tools to manage their physical assets more effectively through information distribution, through RFPs, requests for proposals, through simple workflows that help users meetings, having a model for your meeting. So when you're speaking about, is it this side of the building or this entrance, there's context that you can provide, not just yourself as a board member or a resident, but all your fellow residents, your vendors, stakeholders. We work with local municipalities as well to get them this information and give users context for their property that they're able to effectively do business on. HOAs are businesses. They're usually registered in the United States as nonprofit organizations, but they are businesses and they have assets they need to maintain. They're set to a standard of governance items that they have to abide by and their residents have to abide by. And there's finances that go through the organization, through the residents, through the organization, to the vendors, and various other requirements held. And Zayuk Safe provides infrastructure to help manage that through the assets. It's a digital twin product. And when we say digital twin, you can think of your property as a one physical asset, a system of systems. When I say a system of systems, that means there's an HVAC system, a stucco system, a roofing system, balcony systems, stair systems, elevated exterior element systems, which could be walkways, painting, construction, landscaping, many different systems, elevator possibly, sometimes unique systems, pool systems, drainage systems, sprinkler system, which usually goes with landscaping system. All these various types of systems that are difficult to manage. It's a facilities. For some HOAs, it becomes huge. It's difficult to manage. And when we speak about AI, we need to speak about information and getting eyes on the prize. So our inspections give you a reality capture, a 3D model, a geographic map, proof and evidence of what the state of your property is at a certain point. And every year, you should have this inspection. For Florida HOAs, vitally critical. We're going to talk about HB 913 here. Vitally critical because a lot of HB 913 targets specifically condos of 3 stories or higher. Florida has insidious weather systems go through it, and a lot of beachfront property, so wind, salt, sea, all together, and large buildings. In that sense, having infrastructure to be able to view that property is really helpful. So we'll continue. Since I just mentioned HB 913, I will start with that. This is by law.com, by an article by Steven J. Pardo. Florida's hotel condo reckoning, what HB 913 means for unit owners and associations. Oh, dang it. I actually Give me one moment. Sorry, everyone. And one more moment. Oh, I don't think I can read this article, unfortunately. Let's just go to another article on HB 913. So this, we can't read that one. This is from Client Alert, JD Supra, in the wake of Surfside condominium collapse 2021, sweeping reforms to enhance safety, transparency, and accountability. Signed a law June 23rd, take effect July 1st, 2025. Significant updates to regulation of condos and cooperatives. And as we've mentioned before, in response to that accident, there was some pretty extreme legislation passed in the sense of how quickly the turnaround had to be for Florida condo owners and homeowners to make improvements on reserves allocations that had been decades in had been neglected for decades. And when you have a combination of assets that haven't been upkept appropriately, along with a reserves allocation that hasn't been funded appropriately over many, many years, and requiring for these businesses, these organizations to fund themselves appropriately within a short few amount of years, was very difficult for Florida. And it's part of the reason one of their legislators recently spoke about removing the HOA system, because one of the more insidious things that occur is that in the beginning parts of owning this organization, you don't need as much maintenance as when you go down the line. And therefore, what we've seen is negligence. And people like to tout low fees, but it's not in the best interest necessarily of the property. You want to invest in something that is a store of value, and that might require putting in some capital more so than you necessarily want. But this is where having a tool like Zayuk Safe becomes critical, because it's part of the issue is that it's a decentralized system, and part of this live stream's title is Decentralizing Asset Ownership. It is a decentralized asset ownership system, and it's a difficult one to manage in the sense of being somewhat of a governmental body as well. Whereas there are other ownership models. We've seen fractional real estate recently pop up. You have REITs. Also, LLCs could have certain private corporation LLCs can have certain ownership models that are decentralized as well. You have co-ops, of course, and either way, these are trustless systems, and it's difficult to maintain a trustless system, which is where technology and cryptocurrency systems, not necessarily a certain cryptocurrency, but cryptocurrency systems, decentralized finance systems, understanding and adjusting the laws to a certain degree to not just the laws, but the operations of these businesses to require a continuous decentralized finance architecture When I say that, I mean to say when you own part of the property, you should have insight into what is going on financially. And many HOAs have that. The issue is the cost, where Zayuk helps with our budgeting system, and management in the sense of making sure you're getting all these RFPs that you need to, making sure that you're getting as many vendors in on your property as possible. And that is a huge part of our system where, yeah, you can get the budgets too. We do collection systems, we do invoicing, we do invoicing from the vendors as well. So smart contracting system. But on top of that, we give you the RFP system, which is huge, vendor appropriation. And that's where our digital twin comes in so strongly is you have a survey grade level model, you have the evidence, you can run AI against that evidence in our app and have insight into your property and logged all in the same location, and create a repository for your information to stand, to lie. That is probably what we do the best is we give properties the opportunity to move from having their information everywhere to being a property centric architecture where our information is stored at the property, which for HOAs is vitally critical, whether that's voting, whether that's vendor information such as verification photography, smart contracts in your app so that you have this data driven thread that you can connect between all of these various items, contracts, invoices, work orders, violations, governance items such as laws. What's another one? Votes, as I said, in these various items that become critical delinquencies. Okay, we'll continue. So HB 913 milestone inspections. So use Zayuk Safe for your milestone inspection. If you are in Florida, if you're a manager in Florida, give yourself the tools to manage your property more easily. We will work with you to get your portfolio display to be really high quality. Yet at the moment, we'll give you the insights to your properties through this. We'll give you a store for, and we use licensed engineers. We have a team of licensed engineer. I myself am a licensed engineer, an electrical engineer, but for reserves inspections, I am allowed to do this milestone inspection. Well, let me make sure. I'm licensed in California, so, but it is by the NCES. I'll have to make sure. But we will get a licensed engineer in the state of Florida as well, if that's required. Work with us to get your reality capture inspection. That is the most important thing. Document it, put it in a repository that you can use it. Very often, you'll get these inspections or you'll get these data points and you're like, wait, where do I even go with this? How do I even use it? And that's where we that that's where a good software lies, is giving you the different workflows and functionalities and capabilities to connect all your data and be able to give you an operation set that works at a very cost effective rate and is functionally effective. Okay, so we'll continue. Increased annual budget threshold. Annual budget must include reserves accounts for capital expenditures, not limited to roof replacement, building painting, and pavement resurfacing. Video conferences and uploading official records. And Zayuk has meetings, so we bring meetings into it as well. You use Zayuk, you connect all of your tickets, which include all your different work orders and various items. We might do another instance where we bring voting into it as well to give users the ability to vote. That is not yet on the table, but probably within a while. I'm not going to promise that. But we connect work orders with your meetings. You have meetings in the app, AI summaries in the app. Very powerful tool. Okay, we'll continue. So, video conferences and uploading official records. Zayuk automates the AI summary into your app. E-voting. If at least 25% of the voting interests of the condominium association petition the board to adopt e-voting, the board must hold a meeting within 21 days. Sale disclosure and rescissions. Sellers, non-developer sellers are required to provide purchasers with certain disclosure documents. Articles of incorporation, bylaws, rules of association, question and answer sheet. Required to provide a copy of declaration, most recent financial statement, and annual budget. 7-day rescission period for purchasers instead of 3 days. And purchasers should be aware also of assessments in the past and try to determine any assessments upcoming. I believe there were many instances within the last 4 years where people purchased into a new home and then immediately had some sort of special assessment come on. You should understand if you're about to if your payments are about to increase, because what you purchase into has the potential to increase the HOA fees. And we're in a time within the industry and within insurance and within the broader landscape of the economy where things are going to increase in price. And home ownership is certainly one of them. Purchasing a home has, owning it has, maintaining it, insuring it, all have increased. But so has so it all plays a part in itself. Seller's property disclosure, online accounts with division of condominiums. So now the users must register with the division of condominiums and timeshares. Okay, we'll continue. North Carolina. This is from the Carolina Journal. The reason by Chuck Williams, the reason HOA reform in North Carolina always stalls out. He begins the article by stating a family lost their home over $300 landscaping fine that snowballed into thousands in legal fees. They're about so he's arguing that this HOA disputes they're not so simple anymore, and it's actually becoming a huge burden for people's living. He's stating it's becoming a crisis that's gutting the dream of homeownership. And he actually calls out CAI in this Community Associations Institute. Speaking about lobbyists, Mary from Wilmington, 73 years old. HOA slapped her with $3,000 fine. And because her fence was too tall. Mary's story isn't, and they were saying that she was ready to foreclose. So North Carolina had House Bill 372. And let's go back to House Bill 372 in North Carolina. Okay, I guess we'll just have to read through this because I can't find much about it. Okay, so this is why I haven't heard about it, because it sailed through the House and got stuck in the Senate. But then Senate Bill 378 passed both chambers. North Carolina. Which would ban HOAs from foreclosing people over unpaid fines. That's a big one. Okay. So (378) did pass. Senator Sorry, Johnson, and Sawyer deserve credit for trying, but the bill dodged every real issue that's crushing homeowners. Then speaking about House Bill 542, real cap on fines, stopping managers from profiting off penalties, giving folks more time before liens got slapped on their homes. It had everything we needed. That was a quote from this article. Bipartisan support, and it died. HOA Oversight Division in the Attorney General's office. Let the office investigate the worst abuses. Technology is a great tool, and that's why people are so excited about cryptocurrency and why I titled this live stream Decentralizing Property Ownership, because it is a decentralized property ownership model. It has many of the issues that decentralized finance will help and can help, and one of them is autonomy. Autonomy of the building and the property. Very helpful in making sure things are running effectively. And that requires context, quality contexts of what is going on in your property, the history of the property, and Zayuk provides you that infrastructure. So we'll continue. I believe I have another article on North Carolina. Okay. Southern Bank Business Spotlight, North Carolina's talk HOA personal injury cases. Okay. Unfortunately, this is a video, and I'm not going to watch the video. But I am going to Yeah, that's it. All right. This is an article by Wilmington Biz. The reserve fund, your HOA secret weapon for smooth sailing. A reserves fund is a special savings set aside for future repairs, big ticket items. You need one for major improvements and unforeseen damages. Used for construction, resurfacing, tied to shared spaces. And hopefully most of the items that you're transacting or preparing for with your reserves has over 5 years of useful life. The reserve study is strategy and science, no guesswork, engineering. Lenders in Carolinas require a reserve study plan for funding. And this goes to Zayuk. We have a reserve study common asset directory where you can store your reserve study information and have a living reserve study, which is very helpful. Give me one moment, everyone. All right. Thank you, everyone. Hopefully, you all have a great week ahead of you. Hopefully, you enjoyed this. And just as an ending note, we just spoke about reserve study. These are things that are complicated, and it's not necessarily simple to understand what you bought into when you purchase into an HOA because you think you purchased this home right here. It stops right there. You purchased also part of a business, and depending on how much the HOA fees are, what type of property that is, the businesses vary significantly. And understanding the rules, the governance items that you're going to live by as a member and possibly a resident of that property, understanding the finances, the past budgets over the last 5 years, the assessments over the last 5 years, the state of the reserves over the last 10 to 20 years. Not that easy to get that information, as well as expected budgetary increases in the next 5 years, expected assessments in the next 5 years, any change. And then you can begin to understand the hygiene, the financial hygiene of that property. And finally, lastly, is the asset hygiene, which most people understand. Does the sidewalks look level? Is the asphalt cracked or not? Is the painting fine? How's the landscaping? That is fairly simple to understand, but before purchasing into an HOA, those three things are very important to consider: asset hygiene, financial hygiene, and governance. Because if governance, if you purchase into a business or a property that you're going to live on or be a part of, and you're not in accordance with the rules, you sign documents that state you are going to abide by these rules. It becomes a huge issue, and it's an issue people often underestimate. But thank you, everyone. Have a great day.